Mr. Pierce,
Yes, Your
you
Honor.
are summoning your ex-fiancee, Ms. Covell, for a paternity test to prove that her one-year-old son, Julian, is not your son.
That is correct, Your Honor.
You claim Ms. Covell deceived you into believing you were the father, and it wasn't until Julian was 6 months old when she finally confessed she had cheated and you may not be the father.
Correct, Your Honor.
Now, you're suing for fraudulent misrepresentation, am I correct?
Correct, Your Honor.
Ms. Covell, you admit that you cheated around the window of conception, but you still say you have no doubt Mr. Pierce is your child's father.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, so Ms. Covell, how do you feel about being dragged into court today?
I'm a little upset. I want to prove that he's the father. I want to show him that I have been telling the truth. I know I made a mistake, but I've been paying for it every single day since I've told him.
So, Mr. Pierce,
Yes,
you believe this was truly necessary because you have doubt, am I correct?
Correct, Your Honor. I just, it's happened to me in the past before. And I just have this doubt, and it's killing our family. It's killing the relationship I do have with the kids, and it hurts. It truly hurts.
I can see that it really does. And you have an older child together, and this is destroying your family.
Correct, Your Honor. And it's happened to me before. I mean, going back 10 years ago, I've had the same thing happen to me. I had a lady get pregnant, a young woman get pregnant. I was 18 years old, but she told me at the time that it may not be my child. But I still was a man that stepped up to the plate, went to all the appointments, went to the birthing, and still took care of that kid. And at 6 months old, me and the mother weren't together. We were separated. She wanted child support. 6 months old, they forced me to do a DNA test. I said no, because the child looked exactly like me. As you can see, this child looks nothing like me. And with the other child, like I said, it was a spitting image of me. It came back negative.
And you now feel this history could repeat itself.
Correct, Your Honor.
And
I don't want
destroy
that
your
to happen.
family. You've called off your engagement.
Correct. When I found out, I just had to call it off. I mean, there's no sense in really trying to go for a marriage because it's not true.
How do you feel when you hear Mr. Pierce say these things, Ms. Covell?
It really hurts me. I know I made a mistake at one time. We were both going through an emotional roller coaster at that time period. I made a mistake one time. I understand that my son looks nothing like him, but he looks identical to me when I was a baby.
You don't see no color in that baby.
Take me back. I want to understand how you uncovered and discovered that Ms. Covell was cheating.
Well, around Valentine's Day, around her birthday, we got engaged. I proposed to her. She was pregnant with Julian at the time. And it was after he was born. We were going really good. And I don't know what came over me, but I was just like, we're doing really good right now. We're whatever. If there's anything you got to tell me, let's get it out the air right now. I'm not going to get mad because we're so in a good place right now. It was like, here's your free pass. She told me, that she had cheated on me back, I can't remember the exact month that she cheated on me, and I lost it. I mean, I started crying. I was very upset, and I asked her, I was like, so was it around the same time? Is it possibly his?
And so, Ms. Covell, why did you finally come clean in that moment? Why not say something before?
From day number one, I had been wanting to tell him. My conscience was eating at me. It was killing me, but because we were in such a good place, I didn't want to ruin everything that we had. So that was my perfect opportunity. I didn't want to continue lying. He asked me directly, so I wanted to make sure that I told him the truth. I tried to tell him the whole story in one night. He wasn't having it, so it took about 3 days for everything to finally unfold and for me to finally tell him, yes, it was about the same time period as when I got pregnant with my son.
Why wouldn't you tell me before?
You're right, I should have told you sooner. I should have told you sooner.
What he's named after, who he's named after.
I should have told you from day one. You're right, I should have, but I was really scared.
That's kind of disrespectful.
I was scared of losing you. I was scared of losing my family.
I mean, that's a family name that he's got.
I was afraid of losing my family if I told you. My plan was to honestly never tell you, but I couldn't deal with it.
How can you not tell somebody like?
I couldn't deal with it. My conscience wouldn't let me.
Is that fair to him?
No, you're right, and that's why I'm here today.
But when it comes to another person's life, knowing what I've been through before, I always thought you would be the one girl that wouldn't do that to me. Now that you did it, what else?
I'm sorry.
What else can
I've said
believe?
I'm sorry a million times. I have said I'm sorry. And I can't say it enough. I just want to prove
Well,
my
the biggest
point. I
sorry
wanna
we'll
prove
find out
my
today is if it's right, that's the biggest sorry you can ever tell me.
Yep, that's why I'm here.
Mr. Pierce, Ms. Covell, I want to understand the timeline, okay?
Yes, Your Honor.
So, and I hate to bring up painful memories, but that's how we get to the truth. Little Julian, when was he born?
May 13th.
May 13th. So this is here. Explain to the court about when you had that moment where you fell short and cheated.
It was in September. I don't remember the exact date. I had just lost a baby.
Early September, middle September?
It was early September.
All right.
I thought it was in August.
I told you beginning of September.
Did you say the end of August, beginning of September?
Somewhere around that
Okay,
time.
that could take us back in here.
Okay.
So you cheated right around here. If you count the months, that's looking like the window of conception.
Yes, Your Honor.
If you want more episodes of Paternity Court, make sure to subscribe and click on the notification bell. I mean, it seems like you both love each other deeply. How did you end up in the arms of another man?
After I lost that baby, he was very supportive on and off while I was in the hospital. I didn't feel like he was
there.
I didn't feel like he was there for me. You say you were there. You might have been there physically, but not emotionally.
You know,
you were not there. And the other guy was asking me, are you okay? Have you, we miss you at work. I felt emotionally like he was more there for me. And when we hung out the one time, just one thing led to another. And it got to be.
How do we know that's the only time, though? Can anybody just say any couple words and make you feel good?
Go ahead and take the lie detector test. It was only one-time thing.
And I want a lie detector test. I mean, even after the baby, if he does prove to be mine, how do I know that it's not happened any other time? I mean, you're the queen of being late. You always...
Okay.
You work 5 minutes away from home, and every day there's something. Oh, I had to take this person home. Oh, well, I had to stay and finish this. Oh, we got busy, I had to do this.
I do my job.
Okay,
I make sure that my work is done.
How am I supposed to
I
think when you're
stay
5
there.
minutes away and every day you come home at a different time and you cheated with one of your ex-coworkers? How am I not to think that time that you're coming or working?
Do I not ever bring time punch slips home? If you
Not
ever
all
have
the
a question,
time. I mean, I don't
since
want
this,
the time
because I
slips.
understand.
That's not. I shouldn't have to feel that way. I shouldn't have to feel like I have to.
You're
see
right.
A time slip.
You're right. You shouldn't.
Mr. Pierce.
Like I said, I messed up one time and I've paid for it every day of my life since.
So, Mr. Pierce, basically this mistake has not only led you to question Julian's paternity, but also to question your entire relationship.
Correct, Your Honor. 'Cause
Meaning,
I always thought that, she was the good girl. She was never going to do this to me, knowing what happened. And once that happened, what else can I really believe? That was the worst thing that could happen to
therefore,
me.
in addition to the DNA test you request today, you're also requesting a lie detector test.
Correct, Your Honor.
We have, in fact, administered that test, and the results will be revealed shortly. You have this beautiful baby. When you look at this child, what are you thinking?
Every time I look at him, it kills me. I want to show you a couple pictures here, Your Honor, that I brought for evidence.
I'd like to see that. Jerome, will you hand it to me,
First
please?
off, this is my baby picture. Then this is Julian's baby picture.
Okay.
And I've cropped them here together, and you can see them side by side. Like, every time I look at them, how can I
You're
not
right,
see?
though. He doesn't look like you. He looks identical to me. And
I understand that, and I don't want to take it out on him, but
So,
with
Mr.
it not being
Pierce,
100, how can I not? Every
This
time
is
I
a
look at him.
picture of...
That was me at about 6 months old.
All right, so we're looking at you at about 6 months.
Correct.
And then now...
You can see the complexion, the dark hair. I mean,
This next photo is
Julian. And you
at
see
6
it's
months.
blonde as can be. My daughter, I'm only half Mexican, but my daughter, you could still see all the Mexican in her. She's got dark hair. Yeah, she's got blue eyes, but she's got the dark hair. She's got the complexion, you know what I'm saying? Everything's right. The man she cheated with was white. That looks completely like a white baby. I mean,
That's what I was about to ask you. What does the gentleman you cheated with look like?
He is white. He is white. He does have blonde hair. But blonde hair also runs in both sides of our family.
He looks nothing like me, and I'm not saying he's not mine, but how can I not think that every time I look at him, I don't see me?
So now, What's your relationship been like since all of this has transpired?
It's not there. It's just been going downhill ever since this has happened. We bicker and fight all the time, and just now it's
And so
just
this
went all
marriage
down.
ultimately is in jeopardy because of this situation.
Correct. I've took back the ring and everything just because I can't do it. I mean, if the results come back that he's not mine, I don't think we can save the relationship, period.
So the stakes are very high. Ms. Covell, how has Mr. Pierce acted towards Julian?
Life has turned upside down completely. Throughout the day, he tries to be a good dad. He tries to play with them. I'm not even allowed to work third shift anymore because when he wakes up in the middle of the night, Alan doesn't want to.
That's not completely why. Third shift, I mean, we've already said, I've worked the third shift at her work. I know that you can sneak off, do whatever.
You have told me it's
Very
because of a
laid back.
personal level that you cannot watch Julian. If I work third shift, you don't have a problem as long as I have a sitter for Julian. But he has his older sister that plays with him and keeps him occupied. Alan does not want to look Julian in the eyes. That's what it comes down
I
to.
spend every day with him.
You don't like to look at him in the eyes. That's
Is
what
it that
hates you.
painful, Mr. Pierce?
Yes, you know, and every time I look at him, it's a reminder, you know, I want to be able to look at him and see me, not see a question mark.
It's a beautiful thing to know that this matters so much to you as a man, as a father.
I don't want to be a bad dad. It's just, you know, I realize I'm affecting him by not developing that more personal bond, but sometimes you got to be greedy and think about how can I be happy knowing that and feeling that way to be happy for my daughter. You got to be happy with yourself to be happy for your kids.
And so in those moments where maybe you're pulling away, my concern is maybe he feels that pull.
And I don't want him to feel that. I don't want to take it out on him. He's never done nothing. It's not his fault. I mean, that's
Your
the
Honor.
worst thing that can happen.
I'm not the girl that he really now believes that I am and thinks that I am. I'm not that girl.
Listen, everything that's happened in the past or thus far obviously hasn't solved the problem. Because you're here today.
Yes.
Correct.
I have the results for you, the lie detector results and the paternity results. I'd like to get the paternity results first. Jerome? These results were prepared by DNA Diagnostics, and they read as follows. In the case of Pierce versus Covell, pertaining to 1-year-old Julian Pierce, it has been determined by this court, Mr. Pierce, you are Julian's father.
Yes!
Great news, right?
Thank you, Your Honor.
You're so welcome.
I'm sorry. I really
Sorry
am
too.
sorry for putting you through all this.
I'm sorry too, and hopefully we can just move on from here and build back to what we had and what we can have.
I also have the lie detector results because your concern was that this was not just a one-time thing, that potentially there were more lies, more instances of cheating, and at this point, this has warped your sense of security in the relationship.
Correct, Your Honor.
Are you sure you'd like to hear the results?
Might as well not go back with no regret.
All right.
Yep.
Ms. Covell met with a licensed polygraph expert, and she was asked, Ms. Covell, have you had sexual relationships more than once with the man you cheated with? You said no. The lie detector determined That was the truth. Ms. Covell, you were asked if during your relationship with Mr. Pierce, had you had sexual relations with any other man besides the one you admitted to? You said no. The lie detector determined that was the truth.
You too. Sorry.
Ms. Wilson, you opened your case today because you believe the deceased, Garrett Kelly, is your 4-year-old daughter Zoe's biological father. You claim Mr. Kelly's family refuses to accept your daughter until you prove to them that he is her dad. You say these results will finally give your daughter what she deserves. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Kelly, you are here with your wife, and you believe that your late son did not father the plaintiff's daughter. You claim this was an unresolved issue before your son passed, and it is your responsibility to see it through so that he can rest in peace. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
So, Ms. Wilson, I'd like to start with you. You claim these results will give your daughter what she deserves.
Yes.
Explain.
Well, I think she deserves to know her other side of the family. She's not receiving any type of love, nothing from that other side. And it's obviously because there's doubts, you know. Those doubts were put there, I assume, by him, because I was not responsible for any of that. You know, to me, everyone's knowledge was that Zoe's was his.
And so there's no connection, you say?
No, there is no connection. I reached out. Nobody ever. Nobody ever, you know, they would always just ignore my messages. You know, it was just unanswered. I would send pictures and still I would never get anything.
And all of this is happening because of paternity denial.
Yes, you know, it was just unanswered.
And so, Mr. and Mrs. Kelly, I can see that this has been difficult for you. I'm very sorry for your loss. And on top of that loss, you also have had to deal with this paternity issue. And at this point in time, you do not believe your son fathered Ms. Wilson's child?
Me personally, I don't believe Zoe is his child because of what Garrett had said to me before he passed away, because he actually had a doubt. And
what did your son say?
Well, when me and Garrett had a discussion when he was telling me that Chris was pregnant, and I asked him, "Are you the father?" And he said he did not know. So that gave me a doubt, and then we didn't go on any farther with the discussion because he had passed away. And I was telling him before that, I said, well, we'll talk about it later on, and then he had passed away. But he had gave me that doubt that he wasn't the father.
And Mrs. Kelly, I can see that this is so difficult for your family.
Well, and just to clarify, our question was Christiana never reached out to us at all. We found out 6 months ago. That's the first time we had seen pictures of Zoe. We didn't know that Christiana had tried to come to the funeral until she let us know 6 months ago. Like, she did not reach out to us at all. So the rejection, and I just wanted to clarify, wasn't from us. It was from the other side of the family. So we had no idea that all of this was going on, and that for 3 or 4 years she was, you know, either not getting in touch or trying to get in touch. We had no knowledge of that.
They're saying that you didn't reach out to them, and because their son had said that he had a doubt.
To me, I never knew he had a doubt. The issue was he had another girlfriend at the time, and he had another kid.
Garrett moved on.
That was the issue. He didn't move on. He was always with me. He messaged my family every morning saying good morning. Every single morning. We always received a message, an inspirational message to say, because, You know, he was always making sure that everybody was okay. So it was never over. It had been how many years? Probably it's 4 or 5 years, but it was always back and forth, always back and forth. There was never a disconnection between Garrett and I. At all.
But see, we didn't know that Garrett was still in touch with her. We didn't know they were still having a relationship. We had no idea because he was with somebody else. He had fathered another child. He was living with that person. He was engaged to that person.
And so from your estimation, this was a relationship he had moved on from. There was paternity doubt. Yes. Nothing ever came of it. And so you didn't feel like he had accepted the child. You had no idea.
Whenever I saw Garrett, I seen Garrett with the other woman, with the other child. I never seen Garrett with anyone else.
And so do you believe Ms. Wilson has some type of motive to this claim? Or do you believe that she's just trying to identify who her child's father is so that your family understands?
Whether or not she has a motive toward or not, the reason why we are here to give Chris the comfort that she needs, to give Zoe the comfort that she needs, to give myself the comfort that I need, my wife, and to give Garrett the rest in peace that he needs, and to give all of us the closure that we all need. Yeah. It's overwhelming.
If you want more episodes of Paternity Court, make sure to subscribe and click on the notification bell.
And there's a lot of rumors. We come from a relatively small, city, and there are a lot of rumors. Is she his son? Oh, is that the daughter? No,
and
she
the
doesn't
fact
look
that
like.
you've had to deal with losing him.
Yes.
And then on top of that,
well, they're not the
deal
only
with
ones
this.
that are losing him. Like, I lost him. My child lost him.
We're including you, Chris.
Like, nobody ever reached out.
You.
I wasn't even invited to the funeral. I reached out and said if I could come. I wasn't even told that he had passed away. I asked
Chris,
about the funeral. They told me I wasn't invited.
We didn't even know that you was involved.
We
didn't know that you was involved with Garrett.
Yeah.
We thought both of y'all had moved on. We didn't know that you and Garrett had a relationship until 3 years after I seen Zoe.
Yeah, we just
I did not
heard
know.
6 months ago about
I just
their
met
relationship.
Zoe 6 months ago. And then you telling me that that's Garrett's daughter.
And so to Mr. and Ms. Kelly, how did you find out 6 months ago about, you say you just found out about Zoe 6 months ago. How?
A relative called me about something totally unrelated, and it came up. It came up in conversation with the relative. She said, have you seen a picture of what's supposed to be Garrett's child? And I said, no, we've never even seen a picture. We have no idea what she looked like. We didn't even know that the mom was still pursuing anything or even saying that Garrett was the father. So she sent a picture. And when I showed Gary the picture, he said, I just don't see any resemblance between Garrett and this child. I just don't see that there's a connection. But he asked me, he said, but can you reach out to Christiana so that we can have some type of closure with this? So because...
To find out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I could see for myself, let me meet the child and just see can I feel it in my heart.
And so what happened when you reached out to her and you finally met Zoe? What happened?
I just didn't feel it. I just didn't feel it as I just didn't feel a connection.
And that is so sad because my kid automatically, like if we had the pictures, she's sitting on his lap and she's smiling from ear to ear. You know, I came and told her there was a chance that she could see him today. And she was like, when am I gonna see him? When am I gonna see him?
She wants to see.
Yes.
Her grandparents.
Your Honor, Gary is extremely excited. We're excited. We want to embrace her if she's Garrett's, but for him, it's all this back and forth, back and forth. There have been rumors. There have been people that have called us and said things, and, you know, that this isn't Garrett's child. She doesn't look like Garrett. You know, Garrett didn't say that this was his child. Like the other side of the family.
Can you tell the court specifically what you've been told, what you've heard that leads you to doubt?
Well, for instance, there were 2 memorial services. Like our side of the family had one, the other side of the family had one. Well, for ours, somebody had put Zoe's name as one of his children, that he left behind. Well, the family said that they were going to take her name off of theirs, off of the obituary and the program for their memorial service, because what that family member said to us is because Garrett never said this was his child.
The doubt came from because I was technically, you could say I was in another relationship at the time that him and I conceived.
You were? Okay.
Yes, but where nobody understands, and it just doesn't seem to, I must be a liar or something. But when I was with this other man, we had a break. I had an IUD. I always took care of myself. I took it out due to menstrual cramps. I took it out because I knew this man had a vasectomy. There's no way that, anything
So you
happened.
were intimate with someone else
Yes.
during the window of time. You were
Yes.
also intimate with Garrett.
Yes.
And I have to say this because we've actually heard cases like this in this courtroom. Vasectomies, they are not always 100% foolproof. You do understand that.
Mm-hmm.
We actually have had a family, a litigant here, who said he had a vasectomy, and it was determined that he, in fact, was the biological father of the child. Did you know that?
I did not know that.
Did you ever get any proof? Did you know, and I'm only saying these things because I do this a lot. And, do you have proof that this man had the vasectomy, or were you just going off of his word?
No, I was going off of his word. I was. But, we were together after I had taken my IUD, and, nothing ever happened. Garrett came over one time, and next thing I knew, I was pregnant. And then I went down through pictures, and I decided to see how far along, what could have happened, when was the window, and it was exactly when Garrett came over to the house. We were together that one time, and that one time.
But you were also intimate with the other man, just to make sure we
I was
understand
intimate
that.
with the other man. A couple of days afterwards, I was with him.
And so you're saying that you were intimate with Garrett and also with this other man within the same week?
Yes.
We do know in this courtroom that sex with 2 men in a short window of time, that equals paternity doubt. Vasectomy or no vasectomy. And I understand now why this is so important to get this resolved. So, Mr. and Ms. Kelly, what are your hopes today? What are you hoping for?
We just need closure. I see that the pain that my husband's in all the time. Garrett has been gone for 4 years, and it's like, but this keeps resurrecting itself. And he has to keep bearing his son's memory over and over again because this constantly comes up. He doesn't have closure. He's constantly in pain, and he needs that.
I can see the pain, Mr. Kelly. I truly can.
I do not want to have a granddaughter, and I cannot protect her.
Yeah, we want
And
to.
in this situation,
I can't protect them because I don't know. And if it comes back that Zoe is not Garrett's, that's another thing. I can still protect her, no matter what. But at least I would know something. And then being in the area of not knowing nothing.
and I can see how much pain that brings you. There's a helpless feeling to it.
And he's been through a lot. Christiana said about, everybody, yes, lost Garrett, but this is Garrett's father, So he has lost his firstborn son, his firstborn child.
Ms. Wilson,
Yes.
what are your hopes?
That, when this test comes back and, they have proof that she is his, that they embrace her, that they get to meet her, that they get to see she's just like him. She's super sweet. She's sassy. She has an amazing personality. I mean, she's so smart. And I believe I'm smart. I know she got it from her dad. To me, she looks just like him.
Well, I will not make you wait a moment longer. We do have the results. Jerome? These results were prepared by DNA Diagnostics, and they read as follows. Because there wasn't a blood card available to test the DNA of the deceased Garrett Kelly, we performed a DNA test with his surviving parent, Gary Kelly. In the case of Wilson versus Kelly, when it comes to 4-year-old Zoe Wilson, it has been determined by this court the percentage of relatedness between Mr. Gary Kelly and 4-year-old Zoe Wilson is 99.7%. You are related.
Yes. I told you, babe. I told
Oh, it is so wonderful to be able to deliver that result. Mr. Kelly, you have yet another living legacy of your son to love and care for and protect as you've stated.